Well, hello, lovely listeners. Welcome to this week's episode of Assist with Impact. First up, apologies that it's a week late. Normally, as you might have noticed, I've been trying this year to release episodes fortnightly. But unfortunately, I had a bit of a health scare. If you follow me on social media and you know that I have a history of breast cancer, I recently just went through and am still going through a bit of a scare with some unexplained pain that really put me out of action. So apologies that this week is that the rhythm of the episodes has been affected, but I'm so delighted to bring you this episode today because it's with one of my favourite finds in the admin community who, believe it or not, I've only she's only came onto my radar in recent months. Our guest today, the lovely, the brilliant, the force of nature, Candice Burningham. Let me tell you a little bit about Candice. She is a proud admin advocate and the founder of Admin Avenues, Australia's first and only premier employment marketplace and community for admin professionals. Admin Avenues launched in April, at the end of April this year, and it is a one-stop shop for Australian admin professionals. It provides up-to-date information regarding education resources, tools and systems. It also gives free access to admin communities to network with and access to attend admin events. It has a curated list of reputable marketers, reputable recruiters who match with any list of company that Admin Avenues partners with and recommend. It also provides free downloadable resources, and it is welcoming to any admins who wish to contribute to the community. Candice herself is somebody that has over 20 years in the admin industry, and in today's interview you will hear her describe her experience navigating what I call the career spider frame. But she saw a gap in the market for a place where Australian admin job seekers could find great roles and where employers could find qualified admin candidates. So she is the matchmaker supreme, and the platform has gone off with an absolute bang. It is gaining traction every week, and Candice is somebody who I admire so much for her tenacity, for her drive, for her networking capacity and abilities that she has. And I cannot recommend highly enough you getting on board and having a look at Admin Avenues. The other great thing about bringing out this episode this week, and I'm talking to you on Monday, the 21st of November, is that earlier this week, well, a few days ago, not so much today because it's Monday, but a few days ago, Candice launched the latest innovation to the Admin Avenues platform, which is a free admin membership, which gives the community access to everything that they might need whilst working in the admin space. So in doing so, Candice continues to build this one-stop shop for admin resources. And can I just remind you again, it is free. So I'm going to be including all in the show notes, in the description for this episode, where you can go to find out about Admin Avenues, where you can go to sign up and take a look. There are a number of amazing resources, all currently available. And if you want to connect with Candice, all of those links will be in the show notes and the description for the episode. So, really, with no further ado, I want to hand over to this interview that I had such a delight doing with Candice, and I cannot encourage you enough to get on the Candice bandwagon, because she is somebody that believes just as passionately as I do in not just the admin community, but in giving back to the admin community, and she is all about diversity and inclusion. And that is something that you will hear her talk about. But it was an absolute delight to have her on the podcast. So here is my interview with Candice Burningham. And as you'll hear, right now she's currently based in Sydney, but she has, up until, during COVID, spent a long time in the UK. So for my UK listeners, I hope to be introducing you to someone that you will get real delight in being connected with, as well as everybody else in my global audience, my wonderful, lovely listeners of the Assist with Impact podcast. So, over to the interview. Hello, I'm Liz Van Vliet, and welcome to the Assist with Impact podcast. Join me as I explore the competencies and capabilities that allow you to assist with impact. I'll be sharing practical tips, strategies, and insights that will help you move beyond what I call the order taker zone and be that little hinge that can swing big doors. If you're ready to be more proactive and have more impact in your role, then this is the place for you. Let's get started with the episode. Well, hello, Candice Burningham. It is so lovely to have you here as my guest on Assist with Impact.
Thank you. It's so great to be here with you, Liz.
And funnily enough, even though you're going to hear, my lovely listeners, about Candice's globe-trotting adventures, we're actually based right now. We're both in Sydney, aren't we?
We are, and it's a glorious sunny day.
Well, exactly. And I was like, we're both in Sydney. Well, I know I'm in Sydney unless I'm in some sort of parallel universe, but I was pretty sure you were also in Sydney.
Yeah.
So to start us off, everyone who listens to the podcast knows that I always ask the first question that I want to dive into, because I think it's a really fascinating insight for people in this idea that our careers are not a ladder and it's not just, going up or going down. And I talk about it as our whole career. The idea of our career I like to think of as climbing a spider frame in a children's playground. So I would love it if you could share with listeners, and they will already have heard in the intro what you're doing right now, but I would love it if you could share with the listeners your experience navigating the career spider frame, how you have navigated it, where you started, where you've been, and where you got to.
Sure thing. So I fell into admin kind of by accident. I did not do well at school. I was busy having fun. And I did not get grades to go to uni. And I was just everyone was talking about what they were doing, going to uni and whatnot. And I was like, well, I'm going to go travel. So I was like, I need money for that. So I thought, what can I do? And I thought, I can answer phones. I can, meet and greet. So I'll try reception. And so I applied for a job in the paper, showing my age.
Oh, my goodness. That is a blast from the past, circling ads in the paper.
Yep. So I circled an ad in the Courier Mail in Brisbane, and I got a job as an office junior for a architect's firm. And basically my main role was pretty much to answer the phones and go between the office and the printer that printed out all the draft sheets of the drawings and everything like that, and do go for jobs of, you know, cleaning up the boardroom and literally washing up the cups and serving the coffee. And there was no Nespresso pods back then. It was horrible drip coffee and everything. But I literally started from the bottom, office junior. And then their office manager resigned, and they were like, do you think you've got the capability to step up into this? And I was like, sure, like, you know, fake it till you make it kind of thing. I'm like, I've seen her said, yeah, I'll do it. And then so I got into it, and I was like, actually, this is really good. I'm really enjoying this. I was learning. I learned, what was that called? It was one of the first account systems. And I was like, okay, yep, I know what this is. And I could see black and I could see red, and I was learning how it was. I had to manage a petty cash tin.
Oh my goodness. You are really taking us back.
And then slowly but surely the two directors were like, well, can you kind of manage our diaries too? And I was like, yeah, okay. Does that kind of make me a bit of a PA? And they were like, yeah, sure. You know, you're an office manager PA. I'm like, great. So, you know, I managed a good 4 meetings a week. It was pretty full on. And then I just went overseas and continued doing reception work. I worked for Escada, which is a beautiful fashion house in Europe. And that was just,
yes, they do beautiful clothes.
Yeah. And so that was fabulous and fun. And I think I earned £16,000 a year. So I could literally afford my rent and a can of beans.
Yeah.
But I loved it. And you know, I made some great friends who I'm still friends with. And it was just such a great kind of introduction into this next level of being kind of reception for a luxury brand. And then I was like, okay, can I expand my kind of skills? Can I get into this? Can I get into that? And they were like, you can get into whatever you want. Like anything you want to pick up on, let's do. So that was really great experience. And then I came back to Australia, and I got a job as a receptionist at a insolvency firm. I hated that because I had to charge out time just to answer the phone. I knew that was being charged to someone's. It didn't align with me. So I was like, that's it, moving to Sydney, gonna go live in the big smoke. And then I worked for my first investment bank. And I did a post on this on Instagram recently where I remember turning up to work, and I was walking through the city, looking at the buildings, being like, you know, this is my first big girl job. This is a corporate job. It's an investment bank. I wore heels that clicked when I walked, and I owned a real leather handbag.
Wow.
Yeah, I went all out and I invested in the leather handbag. And I remember just thinking, one day I'm going to be an EA. And I remember, when I walk through there, I remember that feeling, being like, this is the start of your career. You've got your path now, and this is where you're going to be. So I did that, loved that, met some incredible people along the way. And then went into another admin role where a COO joined, and he was like, I need an assistant. I was like, can I apply? And he was like, sure. And so I applied, and his name is David Hampton, and he gave me my first shot at being an executive assistant.
There you go.
Yeah. So it was a real jump. I went from reception to C-suite executive assistant. But he was like, do you think you're ready for it? And I was like, yes. I just knew I was made for it. I just knew I just needed someone to give me the opportunity to do it and prove myself. And the beauty of it is David saw the value of an executive assistant from day dot. He was like, you're to sit in every meeting. You're to be part of everything. You're to, you know, if there was meetings, if there's client meetings, anything, he's like, you're sitting in here. You are leading this. You need to be the ears. You need to. And so I really got to learn a lot about business from him. We ended up working together 3 times. So we went to 3 different companies together. Twice as his executive assistant, and once I did a little tap out of the admin world and I trialed marketing. But it was great, but I went back to being an EA. I just knew that I wanted to make a career as an EA.
I
Um,
love that. I often talk about the fact that, I meet so many assistants, and, I use this analogy that I've heard used for friendships, and it's that you're an assistant for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And so many assistants start out for, because of, as you've described, for a reason that, I didn't get the grades to go to university. I need to earn money because I want to travel. But then it sounds like over time, it has become, it's gone beyond the reason and the season, and it's become, no, I actually really love what I'm doing.
and I never realized that it was a career choice, because everyone always said, oh, you do that until you get to your next job. And I was like, oh, okay. And so, you're getting into your 20s now. And I'd done, investment banking, I'd done finance, I did insurance. And then I was moving back to London and replaced myself and everything. And then the global financial crisis happened. And everyone was like, don't come here. We're all coming home. Don't do it. And I'm like, but I've replaced myself. I've given up my lease. Like, what am I going to do? And they're like, don't care, just don't come here. So then a girlfriend of mine, who used to be my actual boss at Morgan Stanley, the first job, the clicking heels one, and she was over at Channel 9, for listeners that don't know Australia, it's one of the main free-to-air stations in Australia. And she was like, come and meet with this guy. He's hiring, blah, blah, blah. So I thought, I'm finance and banking and I don't know, media. And so I went over there. His name was John Rosethorn. And I went over and met with him and the CFO, Brett Dixon. And we just clicked. We were laughing, and you would swear we'd all just caught up, old mates catching up. And yeah, within 4 hours, I had a job offer. John wanted to offer it me there and there. Brett told me, he was like, no, we can't look like we just straight away doing the offer. So I ended up working at Channel 9 for many years, which I loved. And that's kind of where I figured out, hang on, this is a career. This is a career choice. And so I was like, I'm going to invest in this. I am going to really make a point of making sure that I learn, give back, and be part of the admin community. So I did some speaking panels while I was there. I joined community groups, but the training wasn't there. And it also wasn't offered to you. I remember kind of learning PowerPoint by doing side eye, looking at someone being like, oh, she did that. Okay, look away. Don't let them see that you're trying to learn off their screen. But because we didn't, the option of what's available now was not available when I was coming through to the system. So I was like, something I want to do is make sure that people who are coming up underneath me, if they want to learn, if they want to be mentored, if they want to do anything, if they want to see how I do things, come on down. I'm more than welcome for that. So, so then I ended up working Channel 9 and went across to the marketing role, and then went to SBS, which is another TV station in Australia. Worked for the most beautiful CEO there. His name was Michael Ebed. His name still is Michael Ebed, but he is not the CEO there. But he was just incredible. He 100% saw the value in a proper executive assistant. He had me in everything. He had me in the board meetings. He had me in, everything, all the leadership, XCOM, I think we called it back then. He was like, he used to call me boss, us boss.
So I just want to point out for listeners that because I have a lot of listeners that are early in their EA career, and this idea of, being in the room and having a seat at the table, something like, I feel so strongly about, and I know you do too, because it is how you learn.
Yeah.
So it's, if that's one message that people take away, I really want them to hear that the importance of claiming your seat at the table. You have a seat at the table. You're not just there to be outside, you know, bringing in the refreshments for morning tea or whatever, and you know, talking to your leader when it's time to go to the next meeting. It's actually claiming your seat at the table, and you earn that by doing all of the things that you've described.
And I mean, I was lucky because my bosses did see the value. So that starts with luck, but then it was proven with value. So people in those meetings are thinking singular. They're thinking me. What am I doing in this? What is my purpose? What is the EA in the room is thinking about everyone, and then thinking about their team, and then thinking about, actually, hang on, Liz is going on maternity leave. Okay. And then he's going to be in America for LA screenings. And then you know so much more of what's going on in the business and the strategic timings and everything like that, that you have to be the one.
For the audience, that little sound was a little squirrel called my middle daughter, Abby, who's in the background studying in the same room, who just dropped a book. Moving right along. Oh, sorry, Candice.
Oh, good. If the listeners hear any barking in the background, I've got my assistant, Millie the dog.
Excellent. We love assistants of the canine variety.
Exactly.
Sorry, I interrupted you. Go on.
Just saying that, you know, you have to explain your value of being at the table. And if that is explaining, hey, I know more about what's going on, you know, strategically, timeline-wise, what events going on, because your role is to be talking with other assistants, to be finding out what's going on in different departments in the business. So you're 5 steps ahead. Also, it doesn't help that you get told the output of meetings. You need to be in there and being able to say, no, that isn't going to work, or yes, that is, or actually we have a board meeting that week, so we can't have it that week. And you don't realize how much more you hold in your head than everyone else, because you're not singular thinking, you're thinking company-wide. So if you haven't yet found your seat at the table, tell them why you should have your seat at the table.
Yeah.
And then fill it. And you will show the value of why you were there.
Fantastic.
But so that then I moved over to London, and I worked for NBC Universal. I started in new media with the executive vice president, who happened to be an Aussie, which was fun. And then I moved across to the president of News International. So her name's Deborah Turnus, and she is, if you don't know her, she's worth looking up. She's a powerhouse. She's amazing. She was the first ever woman who was a president of News in America. And she's Brit. Yeah, she's now the CEO of News for the BBC. She is wow. Anyway, so I worked with her for a few years, had a great time. But unfortunately, what we were building there didn't eventuate, and they ended up closing. Like, we bought another news company and whatnot. We ended up letting that go. And so I moved across to a lady named Kelly Hoppen, who is, oh my God, how do I even describe her? Entrepreneur is how I would describe her. She is first and foremost a celebrity interior designer. She does the most incredible houses, jets, planes, boats, yachts, you name it, she's done it. She's also an author of 10 books. She used to be a dragon on Dragon's Den as an investor. She's a mentor. She's just a finger in every pie. Like,
wow.
Yeah, so much so that she's been awarded an MBE and a CBE for her services.
I saw that on her on your LinkedIn profile about, with her in terms of that role, that she had those designations. That's amazing.
Yeah. So she was, you know, it was an incredible role without COVID, but then when COVID happened, it was literally like a whole nother thing. She was just like, I need to focus on this side of the business. You need to focus on running the business. So she strategically made sure that I was looking after everything in the business so that she could focus on the work. So we turned a completely, how do I put it? Like, we weren't even on the cloud. Like, everything was just in a server room in the office. No one worked from home. It was an office. You design, you need to touch things, you need to see it, you need to be together.
Very collaborative.
And we had to just make it work. We put like boxes together of things people had to take home, and we had to introduce new systems. Like, it was just incredible. And it wasn't just me, it was the director of facilities in the office that also was just across that. And between the two of us, we just turned the business around, literally turned it upside down. And there was things like, she was like a keynote speaker in Shanghai when, obviously no one was coming in out of China, but she still did it via Zoom. And she's like, it's just incredible how much everyone was able to pivot and get on with it. And yeah, we just had such a great time. But then one of the best things that happened is when I was kind of on my way out, she got a job in Australia, and I was like, yes. So she is doing the Sirius building right by the harbour. So that was like a last little impact, that the Aussie stamp stayed there.
Oh, wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing. So she'll be out in Australia soon, so that's great, and hopefully she'll get to meet some fans and stuff out in Australia. But look, the point of going through my story is saying, look, I didn't do well in school, yet I made it all the way up to president level, CEO level, entrepreneur level, executive assistant, strategic business partner. If I can do it, a kid from Australia, a kid from Sydney, you can do it. It is in everyone's. If you have a good work ethic, you're willing to do the work, and you have integrity, and you're willing to really invest in this as a career, not as a job, not as a stepping stone, you'll get it back. People will see your value, and they will be like, yeah, that one.
I love that. But I will also say, Candice, that you are like a walking, living testament to my little linchpin model in terms of the hierarchy of at every on every rung of that spider frame, you have been investing your energy into self-insight, into your leader insight, into those power skills that allowed you to be able to do the sort of influencing you needed to do, into the organizational insight in every one of those companies that you came into. And in terms of investing in your job, in your role, the skills you needed to do your role. So, that's, there's so many reasons. And when you listen back to this episode, I know if you're like me, you hate the sound of your own voice, but just into the intro where I tell people why I've, wanted to have you on the podcast, because you are the epitome of that, those 5 levels of mastery, and it's so apparent in what you've just described. So well done, you.
Thank you. So and look, I'm still in it. I love admin world.
Yep, you are, and for listeners who are not in Australia, I can tell you that Candice, watch out world, because you are going to hear more about Candice, as time goes by, because what we're now going to talk about is what's been keeping you busy, very busy of late, is this venture that you're a startup queen. So tell the listeners all about your baby.
Okay, well, basically, when I came back to Australia, it was post-COVID, so you had to do 2 weeks in quarantine in a hotel before they would release you, your family. And so I was going to be in the country for about 4 months, and so I thought, well, I'll do some temp work while I'm here, because what are you going to do when everyone's at work and you're sitting around? So I was kind of looking for a job and looking at temp work and part-time and contract, and I was like, oh, there's not much. And I'm thinking, surely there's got to be, there's always admin jobs. Name a company that doesn't have admin. And so I kind of spoke to some recruiters and spoke to some admin friends. I'm like, where are the jobs? And they're like, oh, you have to kind of just go from different platforms and try and do and look here. I'm like, what? And they're like, yeah, that's just how it is. I'm like, that's how it is. Like for the biggest, probably one of the biggest industries, like there's no place for us. There's no website for us. And they're like, yep. And I'm like, right, I'm going to build it. So 2 weeks in jail, as I call it. Oh, actually, I shouldn't say that. I was really lucky. I had like a balcony overlooking Brisbane River. So
well, that's a blessing. You have fresh air.
I really shouldn't. Yeah. But I just started the business plan of how I wanted to map this company out. I didn't know what I was going to call it. I didn't know what I was going to do with it, but I was going to create a place for admins. And so as I kind of mapped out how I wanted to do it, I wanted it to have jobs, I wanted it to have community, I wanted it to have all the things that kind of I am about as well. So inclusivity, I wanted to make sure that everyone felt welcome. It wasn't a place for EAs. I didn't want EA in the title. I wanted it to be admins. So everyone at every level could feel like this is a place for them. And so I was like, admin. And then I was kind of thinking, well, it's a pathway to a community or a pathway to a new job. And I was like, pathway, admin avenues. And that is how Admin Avenues was born. So Admin Avenues is a employee marketplace as such. So it started as a job board where it has all the amazing jobs in Australia, admin jobs in Australia. And I mean every job, like reception, office manager, EA, PA, chief of staff, you name it, any form of admin job, you're welcome to post in our community. And then as I kind of started doing that, I mean, we've only been live for 6 months, but in that 6 months, the feedback I got was, this is great, but not everyone's looking for a job. So can you not expand this into a community? And so Liz, I'm going to give it to you as a exclusive because I haven't announced it yet. I'm doing a little teaser campaign on social at the moment, but we are creating a completely free membership for all admins to a one-stop shop employment marketplace and community so that admins have everything all in one place. So it's got free downloadables. It's got trainers that we work with. You may see someone that you recognize on there. We've got, recruiters we work with. We've got travel agencies, event companies. We've got, you name it, anything you need in admin, we're going to have it there. So it becomes the one-stop shop for admins in Australia.
That is fantastic.
And it's completely free.
That is so exciting. And I can attest to the fact that it's already a place that I am referring so many people there now that I'm aware of it. Like literally this week I've referred, I've had 2 people reach out to me from the employer side, and I've pointed them towards it. But it's, as you said, it's just been a real gap in the market. So congratulations to seeing that. And, tell me, is this is not a side hustle. This is your hustle. This is
it. So, this is my full-time job. I also own another company called the Executive Support, and that is a very high-level white glove type virtual assistant type service. And it kind of came about that some old bosses of mine were moving into board positions, and they just needed someone when they needed them. Yeah. So it was very, it needed to be someone that they knew had integrity, confidentiality, all the things that you need from an executive assistant level.
Yeah.
And it needed someone with flexibility so that when they need you, they need you. When they don't, they don't.
Yes.
So it was a very niche space that wasn't kind of targeted yet. Like they hadn't kind of made just a niche for this layer on top here. So the executive support is what was created through that. So I also manage that. I don't work in it. I work on it.
Yep.
But yeah, between the two businesses, that definitely keeps me busy. But I love it because after 20 years of working in admin, I just totally gave my age away. I was 8 when I started. I was 8.
And
After,
you don't look a day older.
that's exactly right. Thank you. I'd like to thank my Botox doctor, the academy.
Zoom filters.
Yes. But yeah, after 20 years in admin, I love it. I still love it. I love to be involved. I get really upset when people kind of say, "Oh, you're an owner or you're a business owner now," and I'm like, absolutely not. I am still an admin. I will always be an admin. And so I feel like it's my turn to give back now. So my self-appointed role in Admin Avenues is to connect people. So if I think that you'll connect best with recruiters that work in industries of the arts, or if I think you're going to work well with recruiters that deal with banking, or if I feel like you need to be working, well, obviously they tell me what they want to be doing, but if they want to be working in more like a not-for-profit, or, I spoke to a lovely lady today that's working part-time because of mental health issues. And so there's like amazing companies that recognize that and understand that and work with employers that understand that. And they have jobs and availability for these kind of, like, the world's shifted, the world's changed. It's just connecting people so that they know they're there for you. So that's what we try and do and so everyone that we recommend on Admin Avenues is tried and tested by me. They're recommended by me. I have spoken with them. I have worked with them. And on the flip side of that, if I have a bad experience with someone or they've treated an admin wrong, you're off. Simple as that. No second chances. It's just, if you make an admin feel bad, you make the whole community feel bad. And our purpose in this is to build up admins, to make them realize how amazing they are, how, their power of being an admin. And so, yeah, we're here for that. So if companies that want to be involved and get connected with admins, want to give back, we're all here for that. But if you don't, plenty of other places where they can park their car.
Yep. So tell me, in terms of developing your business, your entrepreneurial acumen, what are you doing in that area to be able to grow and scale Admin Avenues?
Do you know, I truly believe this. I think any executive assistant can be an entrepreneur. You're just in training for it. You don't realize it, but by being so heavily involved in the business and working at CEO level, you don't realize you're actually doing the work for preparing you for business. So you are already doing budgets, you're doing forecasts, you're doing strategy, you're doing marketing, you're doing sales, you're sitting in on everything. You're learning. And all of a sudden, when you start looking at it for your own business, you're like, I know what to do. And it's this training that you didn't realize you did through working at that level in the companies and the executives that you work for.
And again, it's just a reminder that, so many, whether they're EAs or other types of admin professionals, they're taking those strengths and those skills that they're developing for granted. And, that's one of the reasons why, no matter how tired I get of pumping out podcast episodes, I keep doing it, because it's bringing people voices like yours that are reminding and just shining a light on that potential that is there. Or, as you said, that every day the value that you're adding in all of those small things that you think you're doing that are contributing to bigger outcomes and bigger impacts for the team and the organisation that you support. So thank you for illustrating that.
It really is. And I mean, Liv Wilson is an Australian admin. You've probably heard of her along the way, listeners, but she does a graphic. Actually, she does lots of amazing graphics. They're kind of cartoony. She's
very good at the graphics.
Yep. But she does this amazing graphic. I'll share it on my social media of, like, how you just don't realize how you're being built as an admin, and your qualities, your outputs, your, like, for the longest time, I remember saying, I'm just add admin title. Oh, I'm just a receptionist. So I'm just a. And then I kind of came to a like where I was like, I noticed it myself saying just, and I was like, why am I saying just? I'm proud of this. I'm doing this. So I consciously stopped saying that. And if I hear anyone else saying, I pull them up on it as well. I'm like, no, there's no just in our title. It's admin title. And you should be owning that power of what you have learned and achieved, because it's not just anything. You're just constantly learning. There's your just constantly learning.
Yeah, that's really interesting, because I'm doing a session for a company in a couple of weeks, a masterclass for they're having an EA off-site. And part of the masterclass is I'm going to actually get them to come up with their value statement. And it is more, as you said, it's more than just the title. It's the value that they add. And I've got a little exercise that I do. And it's so powerful, because it just really helps people connect those dots in terms of those, you know, the adjectives that describe the value that you are adding.
Yep. And, you know, I think it's, I look at the admin community now, and I think we're so lucky. You have so many resources now. Maybe there were resources back in the day when I was coming up the ranks, but it was never invested in me financially. It was never open to me. If anything, it was like, oh, okay, you have to go to a Microsoft Excel training to tick a box of saying, yes, we invested in admins doing education. But you know, what's available now in Australia, especially in the Australian market, I don't think the rest of the world understands how many incredible Australian trainers there are out there. So start Googling people. You're going to see we've just got some incredible talent out here. And so I always just say, get involved, get what you can, listen to podcasts, listen to masterclass. Ask your company, like exactly what you're doing. Hey, can we hire Liz to do a masterclass for us? You know, if you don't ask, don't get.
Yeah. And that's the other thing that I think has come through really loud and clear when you were talking about your career, is that you know, saying yes to opportunities, but also being willing to ask for opportunities. So kudos to you for doing that, because that's not something that, you know, a lot of admins, you know, they lack the confidence to do that. Would you describe yourself as somebody that has always been a confident person?
Yes. And I would say that, because a lot of people kind of say, where do you get your confidence from? And I'm like, because I know I'm really that good. Like, I'm not a good singer. I'm not a good dancer. I can't cook to save my life, but I am an incredible admin. And I know I am. I've had the proof in the pudding. But, you know, there's plenty I can't do. So if I'm confident in the fact of I know what I'm doing, I know what I'm doing for this industry, and I know what my plans are for after this, and it's my time to give back. And if I can help anyone with that and build your confidence for that, I'm not a coach. I'm not a mentor. All I can do is tell you how I did it and tell you my experiences. And I can introduce you to people like Liz who can actually teach it, because I can't. Another thing I'm really bad at, I can't teach. When I would do handover, I'd be like, you do this. I'm just a really bad trainer. I'm not good at that. And so there's plenty I'm not good at.
But do you know what I think you're brilliant at, Candice, is you're a connector.
Yes, that's my strength.
Yeah. And I think that is something that is the gift that you're giving it right now to the Australian admin community. And we are so grateful that you found your way back to our little Antipodean shores. And, you know, sorry, the UK, that you don't get to have Candice over there with you anymore.
Oh, I'll always have a place in my heart for London. You look, you'll never know. I might pop over back there. You never know where I'll pop up.
And that's the great thing about being a digital nomad is, you know, you could be back in the UK. You could go anywhere you wanted, because it's not a bricks and mortar situation,
Mm-hmm.
but it is you continuing, as you have been doing, to show up and step up and encourage other people to step up. And I'm looking over at my board because as you were talking, I wanted to share this quote. It's one that I've got from Marie Forleo, who says, show up in every single moment like you're meant to be there. And that is what you've done. You are testament to that. And that's what you're doing right now. You know, in Australia, I don't know, I know it's like this around the world. There are massive behemoth companies, who have set up, recruitment portal sites. And we have some, massive ones in Australia. But you have not been deterred by that. And you have found, you have seen that there was this opportunity and this gap in the market. And I'm so impressed with what you're doing. And I'm so pleased to be able to share it with other people, listeners that are in Australia that can jump on and register themselves, come on board as part of the community. As you said, because not everybody is looking to change roles, but if it's got that opportunity to be a community, that's fantastic. So well done, Candice.
Thank you very much. And that's exactly what I want to do is just build on the community that we already have.
Yeah.
And I just think you can never network enough. You can never meet enough people. You can, if you get an opportunity, go, say yes, turn up to the event. You never know who you're going to meet. You never know who you're going to be introduced to.
Yeah.
And you never know they're going to introduce you to someone else, and that's your next job or that's your next post. The universe, I'm a big believer in this, the universe has a path for you, and they put you in front of people. You may not realize it at the time, but all of a sudden you go, got it.
That is brilliant. Okay, so what would be the best way for people to connect with you and with Admin Avenues if they're Australian, if they're in the local market, but more broadly speaking for our global listeners, how can people connect with you?
So on a global scale, I think LinkedIn is the best way that we all connect, and that we can all see what each other's doing. And if you connect with me, you'll see I'm a prolific stalker of anyone that gets a new job. I push the celebrate button and I say, congratulations, because to me, that you're sharing it because you're proud, you're happy, and I'm happy for you. The finding the right role for you is exciting, and it's a new career path, and it's a statement of who you are and what you're doing in your life and where you're at in your life as well.
Well, and I will put your LinkedIn profile in the show notes for people to be able to do that. Anywhere else?
Be prepared for me to stalk you and celebrate you. And I'm also on Instagram. At Admin Avenues is our business one, and then my personal one is Candice_Burningham. They're both completely open, happy to welcome anyone to our communities. And, as I said, if I can help anyone, direct anyone, connect anyone, please reach out. I actually answer everything. I am a trained EA to get back to everyone.
That is brilliant. Well, I will put all those links in the show notes. And I just want to thank you for everything that you're doing to elevate and the profession. I was telling you before we got on the call that I facilitated this session at the World Administrator Summit that was all about how we can elevate the profession once and for all. And you are doing that through your initiative with Admin Avenues and through just being an absolute ambassador for the profession. So congratulations.
Thank you for doing this. Thank you for giving up your time to constantly put the spotlight on others. Thank you for sitting up on that call because I fell asleep. So thank you for taking notes so that we could all read what was going on. But what you give back, the amount of people, you don't understand how much Liz gives back to our community. It's just incredible. You only see half of it. You only hear half of it. She is such an advocate for admins. give her a like, give her a follow, get on board with the Liz Wagon. I'm on it. You'll see I stalk her as well. You'll see
Thanks.
my name on all her comments because I'm a big fan of what you do and what you give back. And I'm happy to tout your name to the industry as much as possible. And we know that you're the OG. We know you're the original. We know you're the best. And we love you, Liz.
That's so kind of you, and I did not expect you to give me that lovely praise. So thank you so much. It's been an absolute delight having you on the podcast, and I will be sharing all of these links, and I just hope that we just continue to see Admin Avenues continue to to gain traction.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you everyone for tuning in.
Thanks for listening to today's show. I hope you enjoyed it. If you'd like to see the show notes, head over to my website. It would be great if you haven't already done so. If you enjoyed the show, if you could kindly go to iTunes and leave a review. It helps other people find the show. Thanks for listening and have a great week.